Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk about life. Our guests will share their life story. We want you to success in life and business. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk about life. We're going to speak on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are going to witness. Business with a servant's heart. With hosts Steve, Ramona, and Ray. Inspiration, education talks. Listen to the podcast.
Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I am your host, Steve Ramona. I am excited to have you join us today. This podcast is dedicated to exploring the idea of doing business and living life with a purpose. If you approach your work and your lives with a servant's heart, we know you can truly make a difference. This whole show is about motivating, inspiring, and educating you on making an impact in your world. While you're listening to my guest today, I'm super excited. We're going to bridge fighting and mental health. I know it's a weird bridge, but this is going to be an incredible show. So get your pad and paper out, take some notes. Also think about how you're going to serve yourself and others today and what impact you create today. That's the key word. Let's not wait till tomorrow. Let's do it today. And today's episode is proudly sponsored by our incredible partner, Pantheon Alliance. Imagine being part of an exclusive community of high-income, successful business owners and entrepreneurs from very diverse industries. Together, we are building a thought leader platform to impact and change the world. With that being said, if you have any questions about that, reach out to me. Let me bring on my guest. I was going to do a monologue, but he's going to say it all. Randy, welcome to the show.
Oh, Steve, thanks for having me. Welcome to myself. Happy to be here.
Yeah, bring it on. You can welcome yourself every day, especially with the big servant's heart you have. Mental health, we know. We don't need to talk about the stats are out there, but you went from fighter to nonprofit, and your nonprofit's called Fighters for Hope, as people can see or hear. What was the inspiration?
Man, the inspiration was my fight career. As a young kid, I was bullied, picked on. Martial arts kind of helped me overcome some of those challenges, and martial arts led me to fighting and kickboxing. And I was inspired by a martial arts instructor who just saw something in me that I couldn't quite see in myself. I was just a practitioner. This gentleman said, "Randy, you can really be a fighter if you'll just stick with these kickboxers." After a couple of months, I decided to give it a shot. I become a fighter. Next thing I know, I'm in front of Chuck Norris. I'm winning fights. And in 2012, I captured my first world title. And fights go on after that, and I realized the very person that saw something in me that I couldn't see in myself, the very person that saw that I could be a world champion, he was no longer around. This gentleman ended up committing suicide. Ooh. So I never got a chance to say thank you. But that really didn't hit me until later on. It was more so when another inspiration, Jason David Frame, the Green Ranger, or AKA the White Ranger from Power Rangers, that was another inspiration for me to even stick and engage in martial arts. It was when I found out he committed suicide. That is when I said, I want to do something about this. We're talking about a guy who I spent 2.5 decades fighting. That's really all I know. I don't have any college education. I don't have any background in this, but I ended up writing a book for my daughter during COVID, and this book ended up becoming an international bestseller. I was invited to Vegas at a martial arts convention center to teach a martial arts seminar, but also received some awards. And I met a gentleman by the name of Buddy Thornton. So I jumped on a couple of podcasts with him, and the subject ended up being mental health and suicide. So I told my story on that podcast, And I said, I would like to do something about this. I don't know what the heck I'm doing, but I'm tired of people, men especially, just taking their lives. I don't know what there is out there that we could do, because you can Google this stuff all day long. And Google doesn't really give you any options but call some hotline. And I don't think that that really works in my opinion. If there was something I can do, can I hug somebody? Can I just get in front of people? What can we do? And it was at that moment when Fighters for Hope was born. And that was really my passion and my mindset to help from there.
Wow, so much to unpack. What a great story. And one thing, let's talk about mentor. You talked about the guy at the very start. How important was that mentor to you? That people listening going, I don't have a mentor.
You know, that was extremely important to me. His name was David Masterkick Bolton. You know, I think the best coaches have coaches. You know, I wouldn't be here where I am today to get in front of people, to mentor people, to coach people, to inspire people, to motivate people, if I didn't have somebody to see something in me that I couldn't quite see in myself. So to David, to Jason David Frank, even to Buddy Thornton. Buddy Thornton, although he's a co-founder, he is still a mentor to me. So this is one of these things that I don't have all the answers to, but I have a Buddy Thornton. You know, he's always one phone call away. So having a mentor means everything, because I can ask him anything. And, you know, I always call him Mr. Miyagi. He's my Mr. Miyagi. And if you're a fan of The Karate Kid, it just always seemed like Mr. Miyagi had all the answers. There was some lesson and some verbiage that he could, you know, extrapolate and tell Daniel, hey, do this, do that. And Daniel would always come out victorious. And so that's what Buddy is to me. And I'm very thankful of that.
Thumbs up to you, because you listen to your mentors as I do mine. That's the other step of this is listening and taking it in. It's just like, yeah, buddy, sure. And then go and doing your own thing. And look where you are today. I want to delve into the white Power Ranger. Not that he was a Power Ranger, the white Power Ranger, but he had celebrity. And again, he died by suicide. That doesn't mean all these different levels of people, it's happening everywhere. What's your thoughts on that?
You know, as a kid, it was Tommy. So I can speak from my perspective. Every kid wanted to be the White Ranger. Tommy, Jason David Frank had the same star power as Michael Jordan. Everybody wanted to be like Mike. I still want to be like Mike. I want to be able to fly like Mike, dunk, shoot, do all those things. Well, in the martial arts world, that's how I wanted to be. I wanted to dress up and do all those things. And it's just devastating to me, because we as people, we just assume that they have it all together. And we assume that that's his life all day long, but he's battling demons. There were things that were going on in his life that we will never know. All we see is the end result. And so that's my passion today, is for guys like Jason David Frank. I would love to get in front of them and just be a spokesperson and just say, hey, you're a champion at all times. And it's okay to cry. It's okay to emote your feelings. It's okay. But the worst thing you could ever do is isolate yourself and circle down the drain. So,
yeah, it's funny you say circle down the drain. Funny is probably the wrong word, but you're a world champion. That's awesome. I wish I was a world champion, but I'm not, and that's okay. But you're taking your celebrity, and I heard this phrase this morning, which is apropos. You're pulling people out of the black hole by taking your celebrity, speaking to people. What do you think what you learned from fighting and the crossover to nonprofit and business has helped you be a better business person?
The biggest crossover for me is we as athletes and celebrities, we are put on some type of pedestal. And I've been put on that same pedestal, and we're looked at as superheroes, and to the point that we're not allowed, or I guess I don't want to say we're not allowed, it's just that people think that we don't have emotions, that we're happy all the time, we have everything going for us. And so, and we get put in a position where we start to believe that. We start to believe that we should never cry, we should never, but what ends up happening over time is you do get a little bitter, because the best athletes are going to lose. Like I've lost a couple of fights, and it's devastating. But imagine losing the fight and not having nobody to talk to. That becomes very depressing. I don't care who you are. I don't care if it's a fight, a basketball game, a chess match. I don't care if it's Monopoly. When you lose, it makes you feel very low. And that's what I've learned. I've learned from other people's mistakes. And so I just want to be that beacon now that says, hey, I am an athlete. I will always be an athlete, but it's okay to reach out. And I want to be the example. It's like I told Buddy just the other day, like I am now in the state of my life where I can say I've done, I'm still doing, but the most important part is I have to be in the state of being. I have to be the example. So if I can step up, share my feelings, if I can shed a few tears and just get out there and just do something other than going behind closed doors and hiding, I think that would also be a help too to other athletes and to other people in general.
Yeah, and business is just like that. Your game is going to get that contract, and somebody says no, you just lost. No different than you're in a world championship, you lose that world championship. Business people need somebody to talk to. So it's well said, because communication is so important with this. You are a beacon. I've just met you, but I can feel it with your passion. I heard this phrase on Monday, a hope dealer. You are a hope dealer. What kind of hope do you bring to people?
Great question. Yeah, the hope that I bring is just to fight the fight. That's the reason why we named this coalition. Our founding, or not our founding, but our president, Eric Ranks, actually named this coalition Fighters for Hope. It's just to tell people that every day is a fight. I think when we named it, people look at it and they go, well, I have to be a fighter. I have to be an MMA fighter or a kickboxer or a boxer. Like, no. Every day is a challenge. Every day you wake up and you got to make a choice. Every single day. But whatever choice you make, you have to live with it. So I choose to wake up and fight the good fight. I choose to be a good father. I choose to be a good husband. I choose to be a champion in life. And I also choose to inspire other people that they're champions and they don't need to be told what to do, just reminded, and that the hope is with you. And we should all be coming together to fight the fight, because the world needs us. The world needs you.
Yeah. And I want to put this out there, audience. He's a fighter in a sport where it's like football, basketball. He's a fighter for sport. He's not saying go out and fight everybody. It doesn't go with you. Fight the fight of the obstacles, of the fear, of mental health. That's the fight he's talking about. You're such a humble guy. You're amazing to me. That I found out you received the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award, which is massive. What's the significance of that for you?
Wow. The beauty of receiving that was no different than me receiving my world title. You go back to the old times of the greatest kings, the greatest princes, all that stuff. They actually didn't want it, or they didn't actually aspire to get it. Like, nobody wakes up and says, I'm going to be the king of such and such, or I'm going to be the world champion of such and such, or I'm going to be the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award honoree. That was not on my to-do list. I can say through martial arts, through fighting, and just learning that I don't know it all, but I know enough to want to help others. That was my significance, and that's how I actually got the award. Just doing free seminars, always helping people, promoting people through martial arts. I was able to promote a lot of people as far as getting to college, getting to NASA, becoming attorneys, whatever they wanted to become. Martial arts helped me help these people. So that's very significant to me, because it just shows that a guy who was bullied, a guy who was spit on and had his head raked against the fence and bashed up on brick walls, if you can overcome that, you too can become a Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award honoree, or AKA recipient. So that's the significance to me, is that it's not about how you start. Don't look at how you start, because that's just the beginning. It's not the end. There is a light to the end of the tunnel. So if you'll just keep fighting the good fight, as you said, just not fist fighting, just wake up, be confident, surround yourself with great people, go to school, go to work, just, keep living, you too can have those same accomplishments.
I'm rarely speechless. I've got a curiosity question for me personally.
Okay.
What president gave you the award?
It was under President Joe Biden. So the way that I was told, the way the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award works is you accept this award on behalf of all the presidents. So whoever happens to be in that office, that person signs off on it. So if you look at my award, it says Joe Biden, Joseph R. Biden or whatever. So I have to look at it, and I have to always tell people, doesn't matter your political beliefs, whatever side you're on or no side or whatever, it's you accept it on behalf of all the presidents. So that should make you want to say, I now fall into a category of limitations of not very many people hold this award. So that's how I chose to accept it.
What a cool award. I'm just so
Thank you.
impressed. And you said something which, again, I love what you're doing and your thought process. You said, because I gave stuff away for free. I talk about that when I mentor. I do it myself. Talk about how important it is to give away your free information, what you know, free away.
Well, that's a two-tone question to me.
Mm-hmm.
When I started kind of branching off doing my own thing, I would get into these breakfast clubs and these conference meetings, and that was one of the biggest questions I'd always ask. What do I do? And I'm asking people who claim, "Oh, I make $9 million a year. I done this, and I done that." They could always talk about what they did, and so I would ask, "Well, what do I do? How do I get to where you are?" And the number one thing I would get, or the number one answer I would get, Steve, just wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. If you'll just get up early enough, you'll figure it out. Well, I get up at 5 o'clock. I do that because I have a 3-year-old, and if I don't get up and get my stuff done, then all my time goes to her anyway. So now, what do I do? So I never found the answers. So that's my motivation to give away free knowledge, because sometimes people really don't know. You just can't tell somebody, just get up. Just get up at 5 o'clock. The other motivation is, if you just based off the accolades and the achievements and all that, well, my rates are pretty high. So yeah, on this end, there's a lot of people who can afford it. But on this end, there's a lot of kids and adults who just can't afford it. But these people need it just as much. So that's why I don't mind going into the disadvantaged youth, the people who they don't grow up with a stable household, but they need martial arts too. That's what's going to help keep them out of jail and give them inspiration and hope that they too can become somebody powerful.
I love it. And here's the thing, audience. He's not broke. He's not homeless. He gives stuff away free, and he's still successful. And I mean, he's paying his bills. He's doing well. And we don't talk about numbers, but that's a point that people don't understand. They're like, if I give everything away free, I'm in big trouble because I got to pay P&E. I got to put food on the table and all that. You're doing it, and you're doing quite well.
Thank you. And I mean,
Amen.
well,
Amen.
And I got another kid on the way. So I got a 3-year-old, 13-year-old. I got a baby boy. He'll be here in November. So
Congratulations.
I don't want to go broke right now.
No. And on a side note, Steve's a great name for a baby boy. I'm kidding. I'm joking. See, this is a conversation, guys. This is what a podcast is about. But I want to talk about. Can you tell us I'm so excited to ask this, a success story, somebody you worked with, and what benefit they got? What was their success story?
Success story just in like students, or just
somebody a student you work with, or somebody to help, maybe they didn't die by suicide. What? I'm sure you got tons of them, but if you could any at the top of your head that you could share.
Yeah, actually, I wouldn't call it a success story, but I will call it like another beacon of hope. Yep. Just this year, just back in July. So actually a year ago, I was actually inducted into the United States Martial Arts Hall of Fame. That's like one of the biggest achievements as far as martial artists. we're talking Chuck Norris and Bruce Lee and Michael John White, you know, Bill Superfield Wallace, you name them, they're all inducted into this organization. So I was invited to that platform to teach a seminar and get inducted. And then my seminar turned out so well that Dr. John Terry decides, well, hey, I need you to come out again this year. So July this year, I was invited back out to Vegas. I was able to teach another stellar kickboxing seminar, which we do for free, just to, you know, give back, because they're already paying for, you know, a multitude of seminars. So I got a chance to be one of 15 world-class athletes or martial artists to teach. So with my segment, I obviously taught kickboxing and Muay Thai. So just out of the blue, I just decided to end the session early because we only have like 50 minutes. So I taught a good 40-minute session on what I could teach in 40 minutes. And just to talk about mental health and suicide, because I thought about David Volkman, I thought about Jason David Frank, and here I am with all these martial artists, all these grandmasters, and sometimes we forget as martial artists, we're human too, you know? So I decided to sit people down. I had a 10-minute conversation, and I told my story, how I was bullied. I told them about David Volkman. I told them about Jason David Frank. I told them about how Fighters for Hope was created and what I'm doing outside of teaching kickboxing seminars. I'm going into the heart. I'm going into the schools. I'm going into the churches. I'm going into the prisons. I was just at the prison just yesterday, speak on that. But I'm talking about the importance of mental health. And I'm looking around the room. It's like you can hear a pin drop. It's quiet. I have grown men in there crying. And as I wrapped up, I just said, you know, if you guys can go to fightersforhope.org, we're taking donations. We would love your support. You know, we want to fight the good fight. So everyone stood up. I got a standing ovation. Next thing I know, I've got a line around my booth, because I was also selling my books there too. Just, I have grown men giving me hugs. Hey man, I've been dealing with this, or either I'm dealing with this, or I know somebody who's dealing with, or who has completed the mission, if you know what I mean. But just sobbing tears. So I come across this young lady, and she's looking at me, and her eyes are, you can just tell there was something on her heart. I didn't know quite what it was, but she kind of waited her line, her turn. She comes up to me and she says, Randy, she says, I really appreciate those words, what you gave me. She says, because I wasn't even going to come to this whole seminar, because it was a 3-day seminar. She says, I was ready to commit suicide. Something told me to come to this seminar. And I wasn't really interested in kickboxing anyway, but I just thought I would just come and try it. And so she says, as she was walking down to come to the class, she almost was just going to go back and just go in her room and just this lady had this all planned out that she was going to take her life. So she says, after hearing your story on the things that you went through, actually seeing that a 5-time world champion went through those things and he could overcome those things, like, it gave me hope. She says, I want to just thank you for telling that story. She says, I want to be somebody. And so I talked to her, and actually what I did was I said, you know what? I bet you feel this way because you don't feel heard. You don't feel validated. You don't feel like anybody's listening. And that's when all the crocodile tears came out. And she says, that's 100%. I don't feel like anybody understands me. Nobody listens to me. And so you know what I did? I shut down my booth. I stopped selling books. And I said, cool, there is no time limit. If you want to talk for 3 hours, we're here. I'm here for you. And so she talked to me for a good hour and a half. And I shut up. I listened. I let her have the floor. I didn't let anybody else intervene. And she got it all out. And she says, I know exactly what I want to do. I want to be somebody. And so we're in contacts today, and I'm looking forward to seeing the woman that she becomes in life, because just a simple story like mine gave her hope.
You know what? what a success story. I'm not laughing. It's like, well, I'm not sure if that is an incredible, I'm in tears right now because you saved somebody's life
Yes.
by just being and taking action. And oh my God, you're a true servant's heart. Yeah. Audience, Fighters for Hope. I'm going to donate. After this show, I'm jumping in. Follow me to do this because you just heard that story. If Randy's going to do that, we need to support him 1,000,000%. Don't want to get on a monologue, but I'm so fired up and passionate right now because if we had 1,000,000 of you in this world, no problems. We need 1,000,000 more Randy Blakes out in the world. So, God, thank you so much. I want to end with a fun story because this is a serious topic, important topic, but I want to ask you a fun question. So you reserved at a restaurant a table of 4. You're occupying one of the chairs, and the other 3 chairs that are empty, who are you going to invite, dead or alive? Why are they coming to the table? And what food would you order?
So I get to choose 3.
You
Dead
can
or
choose
alive.
3, dead or alive. 4 if you've got 4. I mean, it's your table.
Well, I would definitely invite David Veltman. I can't necessarily say Jason David Frank because I didn't know him. He was an inspiration, but I would invite David because I have a lot of questions I would have liked to ask him. And I never got to ask certain questions like why me? Like why? Like what did you see? Like I was just some kid just trying to make a life for himself. I was a bouncer. I was, at that time of my life, it wasn't really what you see today. I was making $10 an hour. I was in a rough stage of my life. I had just dropped out of college. I had just moved in with my parents, but it's like, why me? So I would definitely invite, I would invite David. I would invite Chuck Norris just because it's just Chuck Norris. He's always been an inspiration to me. I had a chance to meet him. That's actually how I got my nickname. Boom Boom was on his fight club, and he was there to see that. And he shook my hand and said, Randy Blake, nice to meet you in person. Job well done in your fight. I look forward to seeing you again. So I would like to just talk to him, just to pick his brain. And then I would say for a third person, dead or alive, can it be 2, like merged into one?
It's your table. Let's go 4 chairs.
Okay. I would just say probably my dying grandmothers.
Amen.
And I think this is also the reason why I'm so passionate about this nonprofit, is because when I was fighting like all the time. I was pushing off, family meetings, family reunions, and spending time with my family. I was a young buck at the time, but I missed a lot of my cousins growing up. They're 20s, mid-20s, early 20s, going off to college. I missed a lot of things because I was too focused on fighting, trying to make that become something because I thought it would last forever. And when my grandmothers, they both died within 4 months of each other.
Ooh.
And then that really hit me because although I got to say goodbye, I still missed out on all the things that was coming up to that point. So this is really one of the reasons why, I call myself the daddest man on the planet, because I am literally committed to always giving the thing I can give to them the most. It's not going to be, teddy bears and princess dolls and action figures and money, and it's my time. And that's the one thing I never gave to my extended family and my cousins and my uncles and aunts and all that. So I would say David Voltman, I would say Chuck Norris, he's alive, and then I would say both of my grandmothers on my mom and my dad's side.
What will we eat?
Huh?
What will we eat? What food are we ordering?
That would be tough because I don't know what Chuck Norris would like.
Well, this is your favorite food. Let's do your favorite food.
My favorite food? Well, if I'm not on a diet and I want to just splurge, let's go a combination of bacon cheeseburgers and some pizza.
You know how to splurge, my friend. Holy mackerel, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good meal, and that's a great table. And shout out to your grandmothers in heaven and doing their thing. Again, you've blessed us to be on this show. I can't thank you more than enough for being here. I do want to reach out to you in a couple months, bring you back. There's more we can talk about, and get more people in front of Fighters for Hope. But how could people connect and get the book or support you?
Yeah, so there's two ways to get my book. If you want to go to Amazon.com, the name of my book is Boom. It's a true story of perseverance, mental toughness, and overcoming adversity. You can do that, or if you go to my website, my personal website, it's randyblakejr.com. The difference is if you go there, it'll be a little cheaper, but also I can autograph the book, and I can also send some more merchandise within your package, so you get a little bit more for what you pay for versus if you go to Amazon. And if you also want to keep up with me, I have socials on LinkedIn. I have Facebook, which is just Randy Blake Jr. Randy Blake Jr. on Facebook and LinkedIn, and then I have Instagram. That's RB3 Boom.
Love it. I love it. Yeah, reach out to them. And audience, do me a favor. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, not for the reasons I always say this, but I think you need to listen to this show a couple of times. Randy has put out some great information, inspiration. I'm in tears telling his story. When you can stop people from dying by suicide and make them move forward. I mean, you need to hear that just to motivate you in the morning. Pull this up at 5 o'clock in the morning when us early guys are getting up, and motivate you, inspire yourself. The other thing is you can share it with your family and friends. Somebody with a mental health issue, they need to hear about Fighters for Hope. Share this podcast because they'll have action. And in the notes, the show notes, you get all the links that you can go donate and learn more about Randy and all the great things that he's doing. And also, too, comment on the YouTube channel. Reach out to Randy. I'll reach out to Randy if it's a comment for him. Make sure he gets it. Or if you want to critique this show, hey, again, this show is all about you, the audience. And I know today it was just brilliant because Randy really inspired, motivated, and educated you guys today. But if there's a critique, good or bad, just let me know, and I want to be there for you. And as always, me and Randy want to thank you guys so much for watching or listening to this wonderful podcast. We'll see you on the next episode of Doing Business with the Servant's Heart. Have a great day, everyone.